Are you ready?
Ready.
All right, let's go. Kevin here, top 1 financial advisor and best-selling author. We are here to talk about the stock market. Let's say you're playing a trivia game and they ask you what is the worst month historically for the stock market. I'm going to have two guesses that I think would be rock solid answers. One would be December, because this is the last chance for you to sell off any stocks that aren't doing well and claim that on your taxes. Also, once you're 70 and a half, I believe you have to take what's called a minimum required distribution, or an RMD, required minimum distribution. And this is when you have to sell out of your 401k, pay income taxes, stuff like that. You have to do it within the calendar year. That would be your last opportunity to do so in my mind. So December makes sense. And then if I'm doing more of a historical case, then I would say that October would be that, because October 1929, that's what started the Great Depression, when the market crashed. Also, you had October of 1987, Black Monday, one of the worst one-day performances we've ever seen from the stock market. I would feel like that those would be two solid guesses. Both of those are wrong. If you go all the way back to 1945, there are 2 months that stood out, February and September, September being the worst of those. There are a bunch of theories as to why this is the case, but today we're going to discuss what do you do if September 2022 is not what you expected to do. Now, that was a freestyle. That was as best as I can do in terms of rhyming. But let's go ahead and jump into it. So a few theories are, people who are, buy in May and go away, or sell in May rather than go away. They kind of go off to their Martha's Vineyard houses and all that kind of stuff, and don't really pay attention to the stock market. When they come back, when the summer is over and things start to get back to normal, they look at their portfolios and start to sell stuff. That's one theory. Don't know how much of that, how much stock I put into that particular theory. Another one says that this is back to school season and that some people sell their stocks to pay for back to school supplies. Makes sense, but I don't know how many people actually do that. I've just got my back to school list for my kids. I'm not selling any of my stocks to take care of any of those expenses, but I guess I'm not really buying into that. But the key thing is, in 2022, like, what should we do right now? Because July was great. We talked about July a bunch of times. August is not all that great. Rates are going to continue to rise, and September, historically the worst month, is right around the corner. And then we go into midterm elections in November, and then we're going to close out the year with the holidays. So what do we do? How do we manage? There are two ways, in my view, that you can make it through September, and both work, but one is just a touch more advanced, and we'll talk about both. So the first one, obviously, dollar cost averaging. You can just cut all of the difficulty out by saying, look, I'm putting in $100 a month, I'm putting in $1,000 a month, whatever it is, and I'm consistently investing regardless of what happens. That is the easiest, best way, most efficient way to build wealth, even when the market is a bit shaky. But if you want to do just a touch better, and you want to be a little more nimble and take more of an advantage in certain months than others, or certain weeks than others, then this method may help you a bit more. So one thing is that we always say buy low, sell high. That's just kind of the stock market axiom. I can argue there are a few problems with that, one of which is, what is low? What is low? So, for example, I want to take a case study for a company like Costco. You know, Costco is one of my favorites. It's about $530 right now. What is low? Like, what I want you to do right now is, even if you have to pause the video, type in for Costco at $530 what it is right now. What is low for you? Like, what is low for you? Like, literally put a number in the comments, and we can, like, go back and forth as we do it. Now, I've given you enough time to hit the like button and actually enter in a number for what low is for Costco for you. Because right now, for me, based on the date that we are recording this and what Costco is doing, low for me for Costco is $515. That's why I would love to buy more Costco. That's it. That's what low is to me. And I bet you everybody got different numbers. Okay, that's the issue when it comes to buying low and selling high, because what is low for me and what is low for you is different across the board, and that's what makes things more difficult. So when it comes to September, you have to define what is low, because if I'm looking to average down, which means that when that stock starts to come down, I want to buy at a certain price point, you've got to determine what that price point is. Now, inside of the members only, I do a process, I would say maybe once once every 2 weeks, where I actually show you what my process is and how I determine what prices that I decide to buy things. And this helps me in certain cases, in most cases rather, where a stock can be down for the year but I'm still up, or a stock can be up for the year and I'm up even more because of how I'm using that process in deciding what I am buying and when. There are certain weeks where I just don't do a whole bunch of buying because these stocks aren't low enough for me. And there are other times where everything is so low that I'm buying everything. So if you watch what I did on Public on last Friday, I bought almost everything in my portfolio. I haven't done that in a while. If you go further back into a lot of my posts and what I bought in July, you'll notice I didn't do that much in July, right? I didn't see anything that was quote unquote low for me. So I didn't do that much, right? So you have to sit down and understand what is your process for determining what is low and what is not. What are the rules that you have and how are you consistently following those rules and patterns? If you have one and it works, you can get very, very good at investing. And if you're doing something consistent, that I think is one of the best things that you can do. Because I'm not just buying everything left and right every single day and just adding new things to my portfolio all the time. I don't think that's really helpful. What I do is I have my portfolio that's set for at least 6 months, and when it drops to a certain level, I buy more. Drops to a certain level, I buy more. And over time, what my goal is to even everything out. So I have, let's say, $1,000 in every one of those stocks so that things aren't imbalanced, or at least not overly imbalanced, or overweight to 1 degree. That's the technical term for it. But that is how you can manage in September. Just because something falls does not mean that it's the worst thing in the world, and this could be a buying low moment, but you have to decide what that low point is. One last example that I will bring up is something like Dollar Tree. Dollar Tree announced its earnings last week, and didn't go well for Dollar Tree. So I had an idea of where I thought low was. If it came down to this price, I'll just have this on the screen. If it came down to this particular price, this is where I would have bought it, okay? Then it announced earnings and it fell well below that price. So guess what? That's too low for me. At this point in time, I'm not buying any Dollar Tree until a better pattern emerges, until a better, I guess, structure in terms of what the chart looks like, until something emerges that says this makes sense to buy this particular stock. Now you could argue that I should have bought it on the day it announced earnings because that was as low as it was going to get. That's not a guarantee. Okay, not a guarantee by any stretch of the imagination. None of this is. However, we're looking at history to see what are those particular points, right? What are the strategies that have worked in the past, and what is most likely to work in the future? And you're really taking the most likely scenario with the most disciplined process and putting those together to become a successful investor. That's it. That's what you have to do, or that is at least what you should consider doing in September. So if you just want to be super easy and just straightforward, dollar cost averaging, that's what I do for the vast majority of my money. And then for my other sections, for my more active sections of my portfolio, I am trying to catch the lows, catch the dips, if you will. If you want to learn more about how I do that and how my process works, you can go right here to the members only, where I discuss this in full, and you'll see my entire portfolio. You will see from point A to point B how I decide what these prices are, when I update those charts, and when I decide this is low, this is a cheap point for me to get into this stock, as the stock, what we hope to do as the stock bounces down and continues to rise. Right? So that's it. September, in case you ever get a trivia question, that is the worst month for the stock market. If you want to learn how to manage it, make sure you check out the members only. All right, that's it for me. I'll talk to you later.